Want to retweet, you can. And I will give them a second to get in here. As they get in, I'll get the first video up on the screen. Well, Jalen just gave it a like. Hopefully Jalen hops in here. But let me get the first video up. It's funny, I put this hoodie on because I was chilly. Now I'm hot. Gotta love that, right? Gotta love it. I am hot.
Oh, damn. Jalen moved to Tampa.
He was already in Tampa.
Huh. Only 4 hours away. Nice.
Yeah, I thought he was already in the Tampa area.
Did not know this. I thought you told me he was in New York. But,
No. He goes and visits New York with he has family up there, but no. He lives down here. Well, he lives in not down here. I'm in California. Goodness. Let me take a couple sips of more coffee. But no, he lives in Florida. Misha is in here. Sweet. So we can go on ahead and get started. Actually, I want to pull this one scripture real quick.
howdy, Misha.
All right, and I'll let you read it. I forgot that was in Luke. Go to Luke. Sorry, is that playing really loud? I know it sounds kind of loud to me. Hopefully it's not too loud. All right, now it's kind of went past. So, oh, that's why I turned the fan off too. Let's go Luke 15.
Okay.
And start with 7. I'm gonna dedicate this one to the fact that we have our brother Misha in here. We got one person in the room, so that's why that's significant. It says, I missed the live Wednesday, but I caught the replay last night. Great info. Good. I'm glad you were able to catch it. We are just in this one. We are gonna double down some of the older videos that I've done before. I'm gonna do a little callback to some of those and explain, and you guys will be able to see what I was saying without necessarily saying in some of these videos, because I know that everybody is not as seasoned in the Bible, especially, a lot of the viewers who have reached out to me. And so this is about helping build you guys up, get you more knowledgeable. I know Misha's been out there doing his homework, so that's good. Hopefully, see Jalen in here too, eventually getting that homework. But I want to get started with 7th. Actually, first, let me slow down. First and foremost, I'm going to give all honor and glory to my Heavenly Father, Yahweh. We do so in His name, by way of Amasiach Yahweh Shai, His Son, which is known to most people in the secular world or in Christianity as Jesus Christ. First of all, we first and foremost want to do that. So we welcome all, whether they call Him by Yahuwah or Yahushua or Yeshua, any of these different names. We welcome you guys in here. Hopefully that this information and this teaching can be edifying to the sheep and to the body. So and I know sheep in the secular terms a lot of times is not a good thing, but when we're talking the Bible, the sheep, that's a good thing. It's good to be the sheep. You don't want to be a goat. So I see Yipper there. Bonjour. So we are going to go ahead and start in with this first scripture to get us started. Luke 15, Luke chapter 15, start with the 7th verse.
This is Book of Luke, chapter 15, and verse 7. I say unto you, that likewise joy shall be in heaven over one sinner that repenteth more than over 99 just persons, which need no repentance.
And you hear that? That first part, it's saying that the heavens rejoice, the angels rejoice, the Father rejoices over one sinner repenting. So if we just have even just one in here, and it says where there's two or more speaking my name, I'm in the midst. So we're having church tonight, and it is blessed by the Father when we are doing this. So it's always a good thing. And I wanted to put that out. It doesn't matter if it's 99 people who do not need the salvation, uh, as long as it's that one who is there, and that's all that matters for the Father. So, with that said and everything, let's go on ahead and get to one of the first videos. To, I guess let's. I didn't even introduce the topic. I'm sorry. Let me get a little bit of coffee. Trying to get I'm just a little bit all over the place. Trying to get my head right. I had a busy day, so I've been behind on a lot, and so trying to juggle a lot of things at one time. Rushing. So here we go. This is the most church I've been one day is more than I have. Well, my goal here, our goal, is to bring this alive, bring these pages alive. So this is just not a book of words that you're reading. This is just not some fictional book. This is a book of life and living. So you're going to try to do it justice and instead of being like the Christian church and
It's
just
our
reading
history book.
scriptures. Yeah, we're just not just trying to read and practice prosperity doctrine. If you just pray, and you plant your seed, we're not. No, that's not what we're about here. So I know lately we have been doing we've been doing a lot of scripture, and that's good for some of these teachings. I'm going to go back to some of the earlier episodes where I was trying to reach out to the audience on a secular lens, because I know with the platform which I've kind of built for myself over the last couple of years, it's been mostly in political and in the secular world. So many of people who I have contact with or who have come into listening are going to more than likely come from that same political lens. And most people in the political lens a lot of times don't really know a great deal about the Bible. And it's because it's been taught to them wrongly. And rightfully so, they dismissed those teachings because it didn't ever compute or make much sense. So hopefully what we're doing here is blessed and edifying, and the Spirit is backing us and puts those messages out there. He who has ears that can hear, let him hear. So let me find this first video to share. Sorry about the planes. Guess a lot of people are flying in and out or something. Excuse me. So let's go. I'll do it this way. You guys can watch my screen. That way you guys can see. And oh yeah, by the way, I uploaded parts of the interview which we had that myself, Fuzz the Fraim, and Cy Lawson, which we did on Gloom and Doom headquarters. The interview was hosted by Ali Alexandria. So Alexandra, I always say Alexandria. Sorry, but let's hop back into. Actually, let me just do all uploads, and let's go back. Um, Now, what did I want to start with? Yes, let's start with this one. Let's go back to the very first one of these. It's called Know Your History, Indo-Europeans, Volume 1. I'm waiting to click on it because I know it's going to autoplay as soon as I click it. But this video is very important to be able to go into the different languages and understanding of the so-called white man, which we know for the most part, majority. Um, I'll say just let's just say for the most part, many of them would be descendants of Esau. Yipper says, I am not a historian, but history is kind of interesting, especially when it rhymes. I am not very religious, but knowing the original text is cool. Good. Um, Marcus, she says something about showing a photo of a chief. Oh, yes, 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 yes. In fact, let me drop this and pull the chief up now. I'm going to email it to myself real quick. Fuzz, did you have any scriptures or anything you want to bring up for the time being? That way I can get a little moment to get this photo up.
Nothing comes to mind.
Well, off the top of your head, you did want to talk about now, since we've kind of established, I feel like the last live stream on this, we've established who Esau is. And I believe that, well, we both definitely believe that that shooter, like we gave the disclaimer that yes, every single so-called white person is not going to be an Edomite. But when we talk about trying the spirit by the spirit and all that, I personally have no doubt in my mind that the Buffalo shooter would be an Edomite. And so I know you had a scripture that you wanted to read going into the Christ, the Buffalo shooter in general. So
Actually, I guess two just came into mind.
We'll go on ahead and get that while I pull up that picture that I wanted to show. I found I just got to find a more clear one. Let's see. Is it and send?
I guess. Let's see. I'm gonna repeat one scripture that we had read out yesterday, but I'm gonna add the new. Actually, I got another one that just came to mind. Damn. I hate it when that happens because now I have to decide like which one sounds good to bring out. All right. So concerning the mass shooter and where he comes from, this is his manifesto like has him calling himself a white supremacist and supporting white supremacy, and he's just got that evil spirit embedded in him that's supposed to be passed down from generation to generation. How Esau is always supposed to be against and having an everlasting hatred against Jacob.
Who is Jacob?
Israel, and who comprises of the 12 tribes of Israel, which includes blacks, natives, and blacks, natives, and Hispanics. Most of the victims being so-called black people in the Buffalo shooting. This is Genesis 27 and verse verse 40, concerning Isaac's blessing unto Esau and the talent that he was going to be born with. Well, not born with, but that he was going to be blessed with from generation to generation. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And by the keywords being the very beginning, and by the sword shalt thou live. You can only survive by conquering and killing and murdering with the sword. The modern day sword being the gun. All right. Here is Matthew 26 and 52. Then said Yahushua unto him, put up again thy sword into its place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword.
Actually, I thought you were going to bring up the perpetual hatred.
I just want to say that some level of comfort, which is the Holy Spirit that Yahushua gave unto us with his sacrifice, being in this truth and having that sense of comfort and understanding the scripture is just like all of that is going to be paid back onto Esau, all that he's done to our people. And it's just a matter of patience and enduring and hanging on to this truth as more and more prophecies come to pass until that time comes. It's what I felt like busting out right now.
Okay. All right. This is the one I will bring out. Ezekiel 35 and 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by force and of the sword in the time of their calamity, in that time, in the time that their iniquity had an end. So at the time their iniquity had an end, their sin had an end. They at this time we're in a sense of peace, but we're still decimated. And still in this decimation, because of that perpetual hatred, they will still come after us different ways. Jay, yes, good to see you in here, sir. Glad to see you, definitely. So let me pull up that photo for you, Misha. You see that? What is this on that chief's shoulder? Just the same way which an American troop has their insignia on their shoulder, our troops in general. American flag, British flag, French flag. What do you see right here?
Is that the so-called Star of David?
Yes, that is the so-called star on his shoulder. Had you ever seen that before?
I have not. That is new to me.
Oh, I got some stuff in here. I mean, I was meaning to one of these days actually break into showing more evidence of the why a star and who drew this. It is actually not a star. It is actually representing the pomegranate. And if you've seen a pomegranate, the stem on the top of a pomegranate is six-pointed, just like this. Also, the Lord's favorite flower is a lily, which is also six-pointed. So I guess let me drop that and show you guys what I'm talking about. Is that the warrior tribe, aka Cherokee? I'm trying to remember which tribe was he. Where did I put that? Yeah, if only you guys saw how much stuff I have literally pulled up and ready. I can't even like read what my links are because I have so much. But where did it go? This would be no a drawing of H.L. Stevens of Massasauga meeting with Governor John Carver in the front of other North American men. He's also known as King Philip. Massasauga Metacomet, known to the English as King Philip, inherited leadership, relationship, and afraid his men were executed for the murder. Um, the Punka Poag, I hope I'm saying that correctly. And I believe this is the Wampanoag tribe. This is a drawing back from the 1600s, 1675. Now, the Cherokees, for the most part, a lot of the original Cherokees were completely slaughtered. So, a lot of times when you're hearing people saying that they are Cherokee, a lot of them, if they don't typically look very Cherokee, it's a strong possibility that they came onto the whole Cherokee rolls, as in back in the history, there was a time where you could buy your way on the rolls. That way you can be entitled to Native American lands. And many English settlers actually did that, along with killing off the native man and raping and basically forcing his wife to be, his slave. So that is a part of it. And since a lot of the men went off to war, the men were slaughtered in mass numbers, and the women were taken over. That's the reason why you'll have a large portion of white men who are, or I'll say white people, so-called white people in modern day, which will say, well, yeah, my grandmother was Native American. It's always the grandmother. And it's the reason why grandmother was with that white man, because more than likely he participated in the slaughter and genociding of those people to procure that land. Let me give you another one, Misha. I don't know if you've ever seen this one. You might have seen it before. But for those in the crowd who have not seen this, let me pull it up real quick. This is called the Los Lunas Decalogue Stone. They call it the Mystery Stone. You know why they call it a Mystery Stone? You see this writing? Have you seen this fuzz before? Goodness gracious, get this crap off my screen. No, I don't want whatever you're selling.
Is that supposed to be Hebrew?
That is a very rough form of ancient Paleo Hebrew. You notice how this like backwards Y, you see the E, Y, and it looks like an E. See that? That's Yahweh. This is literally
The Tetragrammaton? Is that what it's called?
yes, that would be the Tetragrammaton right here. The thing why this is so interesting to a lot of people and why this is called the Mystery Stone is because this is pre Christopher Columbus. This is pre any known European into the Americas. And so before there were any Europeans in the Americas, somebody has to explain why they have the 10 Commandments here in Paleo Hebrew on a giant stone. And so
Metal.
Misha says, I want to go see that. I think Shadow and Tina live in Los Lunas. Really? They need to go check that out. Take some pictures with it and send us to. That'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many artifacts that I could bring up. Let me see what else I have in my phone that I can send. Actually, I want to bookmark this. I don't have bookmarked this page to save it. Because, let me hop back to the page first. But yeah, I need to save this. Bookmark this tab. Done. Cool. Come back to it. And I'll do the same with this one. And purchase. So yeah, let me pull up
Already
was that
almost 30 minutes.
man, the time flies sometimes when we get going in these. I'm gonna show you one more. Now everybody's familiar with Native American attire, correct? Actually, I'll just pull up a couple. Pull up a couple of little artifacts I want to show you all.
I think I know where you're going, and I think I have a scripture to go along with it already.
Let's see if you know where I'm going. A hint. Is it in the book of Numbers?
Yes.
All right, then you might know where I'm going, sir. All right. Yeah, let's see. I think I got all the ones I'm going to pull for right now. Actually, no. There's a couple more. So, yeah. Okay, now let me just send these over. So I want people to be able to all right. Let's see. Inbox. Do that one more time. Update. There we go. There's a new one. Now, let me share my screen one more time. And show you guys some of this stuff. And I'm telling you, my phone is a gold mine. I got so much stuff in here. All right, go on ahead and pull your scripture, sir.
All right. Through the Spirit, Bahashem Yahawashai. Damn, I butchered that. This is Book of Numbers, chapter 15, verse 38. Speak unto the children of Israel and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders a riband of blue. And that shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord, and do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a whoring, that ye may remember and do all my commandments, and be holy unto your God.
Now you guys see that? Clearly, we all know that these are fringes. Everybody knows what fringes are. They've seen them on all kind of outfits. But have you noticed this? Look at this. Ribbon of blue. Let's see if I can zoom it in at all. Oh, wow. That really zoomed in. ribbon of blue, or right here in the fringes up underneath. Let's go show you guys another one. Another one. See that long fringes there? Fringes here. Ribbon of blue. Fringes there. Ribbon of blue. You guys ever wonder why turquoise was such a big color? Why it was so popular? Turquoise is a derivative of blue. I see that blue. See these fringes on the borders of the garments? Fringes. Fringes on the borders of the garments. I want to show you this one also. This you can see right here. This is called Free Blacks of Israel Hill. This is an actual place you can go to. I'll read it out. It says, just to the west lies Israel Hill, settled in 1810 to 1811 by approximately 90 formerly enslaved persons who received freedom and 350 acres from Judith Randolph under the will of her husband, Richard Randolph, cousin of Thomas Jefferson. These Israelites and other free African Americans worked as farmers. You notice that? These Israelites, it's calling them Israelites. This one is another one that was found. Inside of here, now, I don't know if you guys can see that because it's kind of really zoomed in. Let's see if it'll let me click on it and pull it aside. There we go. Guys, see that? Make it a little bigger. This going around the outside, these like chicken scratch markings, do these look familiar? Doesn't it look similar to what we just saw in the Los Lunas Decalogue stone? On the inside, when they opened it, they found 10 commandments inside of there. Also here on this spearhead. See that again? See another one?
Oh, Gad and Reuben.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just want to show you guys that is, all of those things are artifacts which are literally in museums, which they don't like to explain to you or tell you anything about them or explain to you, because that goes into, they know who you are and they know who they are. Think about who are the people who mostly own these museums, procure these museums, and hide these museums. You want to know who finds, you want to know actually who found most of this archaeology, where most of these museums are? The only group of white people who even say that Native Americans are Israelites. Can anybody guess in the chat? Can anybody tell me who's the person who's found all these artifacts? I'll wait. Give me some guesses. Give me some guesses. I want to see the chat get involved and give me some answers before I have Fuzz start guessing. Smithsonian, they have some. That is correct, Yipper. But they're not the main proponents of who have majority of this stuff. Like in actuality, ding, 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 ding. There you go. Misha is correct. The Mormons. The Mormons are the only so-called Edomites, because I'm not saying every single one of them is, but I'm pretty sure a whole lot of them are the only ones that recognize the Native Americans as Israelites. Yes, they hide, oh my goodness, the stuff which they hide. And some of it's starting to come out more and more and more. That's the reason why I
trust trying to say Rothschilds.
I trust it. Well, he was trying not to say it.
Hmm.
But I try to. I mean, I was going to say I trust the scriptures, but for those who are not going to be inclined to trust the scriptures, this is why I learned all of this stuff. You guys see this image that's behind me. This is what the actual depiction looks like in the walls in Egypt of who they say the Israelites are. Now, I don't know if you can see, you got some brown, you got this guy, he's a little lighter brown there. You got different variations, even back to Egypt. That the Israelites were all various shades of brown. Thus why Moses was mixed up with an Egyptian. But let's get back to topic at hand. Where is it? Where is it? Bring up that video. Let's see. So this video. Oh, there we go.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Lang Focus channel, and my name is Paul. Today we'll be going way back to see how we're all connected. Well, not all of us, but about half of us. Around 46% of the people on Earth speak an Indo-European language as their native language throughout Europe, South Asia, the Americas, and beyond. The Indo-European language family contains languages as diverse as English, Hindi, Persian, Russian, Armenian, and Greek. Languages which, on the surface, may seem to have nothing in common, but they actually do. All Indo-European languages developed from Proto-Indo-European. According to the most widely accepted theory, Proto-Indo-European was spoken around 6,500 years ago on the Eurasian steppe of eastern Ukraine, southern Russia, and the Caucasus. The Indo-Europeans were the first, or among the first people to domesticate horses, which greatly increased their ability to travel and migrate. Over the following 3 millennia, Indo-European people migrated far and wide, conquering new lands on horseback and bringing their language with them.
Let me take that back so that way I can read it. For anybody who's listening to this and doesn't have the ability to hear it, I mean, or not able to see it.
May seem to have nothing in common, but they actually do. All Indo-European languages developed from Proto-Indo-European. According to the most widely accepted theory, Proto-Indo-European was spoken around 6,000.
Actually, I want to bring that back and spell out some, because it's so many that were on that list.
May seem to have nothing in common, but they actually do. All Indo-European languages.
Now, look at this. How many languages are all tied into each other? You got the Balto-Slavic, which eventually became the Baltic and the Slavic, West Slavic, South Slavic, Slovenia, Macedonia, Bulgaria. Remember how we brought up Macedonia and Alexander being a Macedonian, making him an Edomite, showing that Edomite's language it would be a Proto-Indo-European, connecting Edomites with Proto-Indo-Europeans. You have Indo-Iranian, Anatolian, Germanic, West Germanic, East Germanic, Celtic, Italian, Hellenic. That's going into different Greek languages. Iranian, Persian, Indic, which that goes into Indian. See all of these languages, which broke off. I said Dutch off because I was looking at West Germanic, how English, French, Dutch, all of these all fall into these all same language families. And then you have Latin. Was it Lato? What does it say? Latino something. I can't read it all the way. It's kind of small. But that goes into the Latin, which goes into Portuguese, Spanish, Catsian, which Some of these are dead languages, but I wanted to stop it for that point so you guys can see all of these languages which branch out of Indo-European.
Developed from Proto-Indo-European. According to the most widely accepted theory, Proto-Indo-European was,
and of course, it's the most widely accepted because if you are one of the smallest populations in the world and you control most of the world and have most of them speaking your languages, of course, you can decide which theories you choose to accept about where you came from. But when it says, when you guys notice the acronym PIE, that's Proto-Indo-Europeans. So it's Proto-Indo-Europeans was spoken around 6,500 years ago on the Eurasian steppes of eastern Ukraine, South Russia, and the Caucasus. That's going to be important, so keep that in mind.
spoken around 6,500 years ago on the Eurasian steppe of East.
You guys see that? Yamnaya. It says probable homeland of Proto-Indo-Europeans. Now, I wouldn't call them Proto-Indo-Europeans because there were people there before they got there. So to even call Europeans Europeans is even a little bit of a misnomer.
Eastern Ukraine, southern Russia, and the Caucasus. The Indo-Europeans were the first or among the first people to.
And I put in here, glad he corrected himself. Everyone knows the Egyptians, Babylonians, and Persians had far more advanced societies and domesticated these, had these animals also. So that's not true. There were trades to be able to trade these animals all over the Levant and different other areas. So to exclude the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Kushite Empire, to exclude all of these other, nations, which were superpowers before the Greeks, before the Romans, and before the rest of Europe started to branch out, is very disingenuous. I mean, I don't know if he knows this or maybe he has that conscious bias where he does not want to admit that. Here we go.
First people to domesticate horses, which greatly increased their ability to travel and migrate. Over the following 3 millennia, Indo-European people migrated far and wide, conquering new lands on horseback and bringing their language with them, as it developed into different varieties, which eventually grew into different branches of the Indo-European language family. The Indo-Europeans first migrated into Europe, Anatolia, and Central Asia, then later into northern India and Iran, as migration continued deeper into Europe and Central Asia.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that part? Listen closely to what he says next.
There's an alternate theory, based more on archaeological evidence, that suggests that the Indo-European languages began in Anatolia.
Based on what? What did he say it was based on? So he gave us this other theory. And then he says, well, there's another theory more based on archaeology. So what was the other one based on? Just pulling it out your ass, right? And everybody's just accepting it. But let's ignore what the archaeology suggests. You guys see this? This is Anatolia. And it's showing these people coming out of Anatolia and branching out to all these different areas and showing the time periods when they branched out to these areas. So it's only showing them getting to these parts of Europe, the oldest at like 5,000, 6,000 years before BC. So when everybody talks about, oh, well, 10,000 and 15 and 20, no, this is archaeology is showing that they didn't get to these places in Europe until no more than 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. So anybody trying to say, oh, well, they got up there and they got to Europe and that's where they lost their pigmentation. That's a lie. That is not true. Because they weren't the only people who went into these areas. Also, they weren't the only people who lived in those areas. There were people who lived in those areas before them and did not have the loss of melanin. So there has to be another explanation to why the melanin was lost. It wasn't because they went so far away from, no. Anybody that tells you that either doesn't know what they're talking about or they are willingly lying to you.
Several thousand years earlier and spread with the expansion of agriculture. There are
Funny, he's smart enough to understand all these complex languages, but he can't understand what he just said in the fact that there's archaeology that backs up that they come out of Africa. But okay, let's carry on.
There are no written records of Proto-Indo-European and its early offshoots, so the best we can do is to theorize and imagine. However they happened to take place, during these migrations, Proto-Indo-Europeans split into numerous different languages, which would gradually develop into entire branches of the Indo-European language family. Those branches are Anatolian, which is now extinct, Tocharian, which is also extinct, Italic and Celtic, which may share a common Italo-Celtic ancestor, Armenian and Albanian, which each consist of just one language, as far as we know, Hellenic, Germanic, Balto-Slavic, which split into the Baltic and Slavic branches, and Indo-Iranian, which split into the Iranic and Indic branches. All of these branches and their individual languages have been developing in different regions with different influences for thousands.
Now, let me pause it real quick there. I noticed Shadow was in the building. What's up, Shadow?
Oh, 1 sec. I'll be right back.
Okay, Neanderthals. I don't subscribe to the whole concept of what is it, Neanderthals and the I'm trying to remember what the other ones were called. But there's a couple of different groups of people that were called, I can't remember what they're called, but no, the whole mindset of the whole caveman stuff and caves is because early Europeans or Proto-Indo-Europeans lived off the Eurasian steppes. Literally, that's the Caucasus Mountains. So if you were living literally in the Caucasus Mountains, plenty of people were living in caves. Good gracious, what is with all these planes tonight? Give that a pause. Let this plane go fly on over. But when it comes to, oh, well, people descended from caves, well, plenty of people, plenty of Proto-Europeans descended from caves, literally. Well, not descended from caves, but lived in caves at a certain time period. It all depends on, the thing about it is a lot of the stuff that these historians talk about is correct. Their timelines, a lot of times, are complete and utter horseshit, though. And a lot of the carbon dating has been found to be very faulty. They've done stuff where they put something into the ground which was 6 months old, and people have said, "Oh, well, this is 10,000 years old." Bullshit. A lot of there's ways to mess up these tests and get off meanings. Misha says troglodytes. Exactly. So let's hop back in and go into a little bit more. I mean, Shadow actually knows a whole lot about some of these different groups of people, especially like the Anatolians and Tocharians, and it starts getting into the Balto-Slavics and all that, because Proto-Indo-Europeans, this is where a lot of where the actual culture and the building up of these groups of people, when they started making their rise into power, this is where a lot of it started. Not saying that Proto-Indo-Europeans, excuse me, something's in my mouth. But
Hi, Mona.
not saying Proto-Indo-Europeans were not around before this time period. This is just when they were first starting to tip their toes into Europe. Hey, Mona. So when we have these structures, which we know are 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 years old, in Europe, and you're having Proto-Indo-Europeans not getting to Europe till like 5,000 years ago, it has to tell you that somebody else besides these groups of people were already there. Thus, I guess I can remind me to bring up once I stop this video, remind me to bring up Cheddar Man. For those who are not familiar with Cheddar Man, don't go cheat and go look it up. Wait, and I will show you. But yes, glad to see you in here, Mona. Let me hop back over to that video amongst my millions of things I have up.
Thousands of years, so they are now very different from each other. But through comparative study, we can see that Indo-European languages share a common word stock, as well as some phonetic and, historically speaking, some grammatical tendencies. There are a significant number of cognate words in Indo-European languages. By the way, the word cognate comes from Latin cognatus, which means born together. These words were indeed born together in Proto-Indo-European, and if we're aware of the sound changes that have taken place, we can identify cognates. For instance, the word meaning bear or carry. In Sanskrit, it's bahar. In Greek, it's per. In modern Greek, this might be pronounced like an F sound, but in ancient Greek, it was actually an aspirated P sound. In Latin, it's fair. In Gothic, it's baer. In Old English, it's bear. They all come from Proto-Indo-European baer. And my pronunciation of these different languages is probably not perfect, but I'm just giving it a shot myself. I should point out that the Proto-Indo-European words are theoretical reconstructions, and that there's no way of knowing for sure what they sounded like. But these words here are fairly recognizable. Some are a little less recognizable. In English, we have the word work, which comes from Old English, wirchan. In modern Greek, the word for work is ergo, which was ergon in ancient Greek. And in some texts, there was an alternate form, wergon. They both stem from the Proto-Indo-European word, wergon. Indo-European languages can be divided into two classes, the Kentum languages and the Sotum languages. Sotum is the word for 100 in Avestan, an ancient Iranian language. Kentum is the word for 100 in Latin. These two words illustrate a sound shift that occurred in Indo-European languages. Proto-Indo-European had a palatalized K sound that was distinct from the regular velar K sound. A palatalized consonant sounds kind of like it's followed by a Y sound, like kyo as opposed to k. In the Sotum languages, this palatalized sound remained a separate phoneme from k, and it became a sibilant sound, like a s or a sh. So the Proto-Indo-European word for 100, kymtom, became shatam in Sanskrit, shimtas in Lithuanian, and in many Slavic languages, it's sto. These words have all developed and diverged quite a bit, but if you're aware of the sound shift from a K sound to an S sound, you can recognize these cognates more easily. In the Kentum languages, the two K sounds merged together, or in the case of the Germanic branch, shifted to an H sound. So kymtom became kentum in Latin, and hekaton.
Now I wanted to pause this real quick. You guys see this? India, Iran, right here. This is getting right next to Egypt. So the land of Israel would be right in this area. Actually, Egypt is over here. Land of Israel will be right here. It showed that area right there. So this is not a very long march for a group of people coming right out of the Levant. And remember, we talked about Mount Seir last time. Mount Seir would have been south of here, so it would have been, a little bit further down. So the trek to about right here, where it says like a lot of Proto-Indo-Europeans started out at the Eurasian steppe, is only about the distance of about 2,600 miles. In the times of the biblical days, it talked about how people left from I'm trying to remember, where was he at, roughly where Syria is, which would have been Syria would be kind of roughly in this northern region over here, all the way over to Spain, which was over here. It's close to like 4,000 miles away. So it showed traveling these distances was not very hard for people in those time periods. And it was not uncommon for groups of people to travel very long distances. So I just wanted to bring that up so you guys can see where I talked about the land of Petra or Edom. In the last class, Edom would have been right down here below Judea, and then on up into right here, crossing into Anatolia, which modern day Anatolia would be roughly Turkey. So that's what I guess that's a little point I wanted to bring up. But here we go. Let's hop back in. Guys, see that? Scythian, Cimmerian, Proto-Slavic. Guys, seeing that? 643 BC. And this is when Proto-Indo-Europeans are first starting to come across into coming out of Central Europe, which would have been Western Europe, or mostly the Western powers. This is getting into what would be France in those areas, and starting to come across from France and going up into Germany and into the UK and those areas. So at 600 BC, Proto-Indo-Europeans still had not gotten into the UK and areas like that yet. So it makes you have to question some of the structures being there for much longer than Proto-Indo-Europeans. Who is there building that stuff? All right, I can stop that one there. Yeah, in this clip there. Stop screening to get back in. So, oh, that's right. I was supposed to bring up Cheddar Man, correct? For those who do not know, Cheddar Man is the oldest human remains in the UK area or Great Britain. This is Cheddar Man. They can tell by his DNA that more than likely he had darker pigmentation, straight to wavy hair, and blue eyes. So this is Cheddar Man. And at first they only found, the one skeletal remains to go through the DNA. Later on, they found out that no, there were a lot more and they found the same DNA coding showing the melanated people throughout, the UK. So just wanted to put that out there also. So um, biblically, a lot of people will say that, oh well, uh, when you had Noah's, let me stop that. You had Noah's descendants, and Noah had Ham, Shem, Japheth. Can you pull that up? Uh, Numbers.
First Chronicles.
No.
Oh.
Genesis. Is it Genesis 18? Or is it 10? Table of Isle of the Gentiles.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's it.
Genesis. All right. Genesis 10 and.
Yeah, 10. I don't know. I was getting mixed up. It was like 18 and 10. I don't know how you get 18 and 10 mixed up, but yeah, Genesis 10.
Now this is book of Genesis, chapter 10 and verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood.
Mm-hmm.
The sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Togarmah.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Okay.
and the son. Mm-hmm.
That's good. Hold it there. Let me pull this up.
I guess I could skip to verse 5 for now.
No, you can
By
read it.
these were the isles of the Gentiles, divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families, in their nations.
So I wanted to bring up this map. So all those places that he was naming off. Where's a good one? No. Okay. That's weird. What's it doing that? Okay. So let's see if it'll help me go big. Okay, I guess it's not going to let me go big. But you guys see this? Gomer, Madai, Ashkenaz. That
Not
area,
seeing
you're not seeing it? Crap. Can you guys see this one? Which my mouse is over?
your screen. Oh, I'm
Let
not
me
seeing
see.
your screen.
Oh, I don't have my screen shared. Sorry. Let me pull my screen up then. Oh, it's just popped open like it does on my phone. So much more clear. This is not big enough. Not as big as I want it. Let me go to another one. So, yeah, click off of view. Trying to find it. Oh, let's see this old school one. That one's kind of blurry too, right? Yes.
A little bit.
All of them are blurry. Great, of course. I mean, when I bring it up for it to go big, it does not go big.
And even if you open image in new tab,
Well, anyway, this right here, this land Ashkenaz, here, I guess I'll just mention it out. Syrian desert, Cyprus, Cilicia here, that's a part of Greece. Magog, Meshesh, Tubal, this is all like a part of Russia. Ashkenaz, this is a part of Russia, actually going towards the Caucasus Mountain. This part right here, Togamar, that's like Turkey.
what if? So here's a thought. Why not? Like the URL to whatever it is you're reading off of, you can at least send it to the chat so that they might be able to.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah. Follow
Or just
along.
all I typed in is this is like whatever Pinterest. I don't like Pinterest. Any of this. I just typed in Bible map of Japheth. So if you type that into your search and just look at it, and then go to Genesis 10, then you can start going into and actually reading and following along to where it says these places are. Most of these maps are not the greatest. Are going to have some places a little confusing the way they have them, but let's not get bogged down on that too long. Let's see. In my part 2 video that I had, I'm probably not going to go in. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them. Of course, I would have you guys here way too long, but let me at least back out to see which one I need to bring up which one I need to bring up next. We all know that once I show the moving into Europe, you first had actually bring you up First Maccabees 1:1. That way, let's tie this to history. That way, this is a version. This is I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar with that first time, or maybe not as familiar with that first time period as far as moving into the lands, but they are familiar with this individual right here.
This is the Apocrypha, first book of Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 1. And it happened, after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and made many wars and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and
All
took spoils of...
First, go back and read that again. Let's read it a little bit more emphasis and slow it down so everybody can catch what you're talking about. We want them to catch what you're putting down.
First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 1. And it happened, after that Alexander, son of Philip.
Alexander. Who is Alexander? This Alexander that Fuzz is reading about, this is Alexander the so-called Great. Or I just call him Alexander the Greek. So continue.
Son of Philip, the Macedonian. who came out of the land of Shittim,
Yes.
had
So,
smitten it. Mhm.
and remember, in the last video, we showed how Alexander ties all the way back to Amalek and ties back to Eliphaz and ties back to Esau. Alexander would be a direct descendant of Esau, meaning most of the people of his nation are more than likely direct descendants also. Then we, in that second video, Know Your History in Indo-Europeans, it goes throughout how after the Greek Empire, it became the Greco-Roman Empire and then transitioned into the Roman Empire. After the Roman Empire fell apart, which in the third video, I believe I go into, let me just look at it and see if I can remember exactly. Oh, that's right. I forgot. I did those a little out of order. I somehow forgot my third video and then had to upload it later. But the third video goes into colonizations into the Americas. So just like how the Indo-Europeans came out of Edom, went into Europe, took over and conquered. They also left from Europe, went into the Americas, took over and conquered. And then in the fourth video, they're conquering of Africa. Complete conquering. This is after the slave trades. Well, actually, this is including the slave trades. Then the fifth video, or I guess the fifth one is the colonization of Africa. Sorry, my bad. And then we'll go the sixth. Let's see what the sixth video was. This one starts talking about what I call Neo-Canaanites, because they're original Canaanites, and then the Canaanites were pushed out of their land. As they were pushed out, Indo-Europeans took over parts of the Canaanites' land, and the Hittites' land, and Anatolia. Remember we talked about Anatolia before? This is history tying all of this together. Hold on one sec. Yes, he did die young too. Hold on one second.
27?
I thought it was 32.
So it was a cause of death from a monkey bite. I don't know where I've heard syphilis as a cause of death, but I heard that from somewhere.
All right, fellas, are you able to look that up real quick? Sorry, gotta warm my coffee up. It's cold and gross. I don't like cold coffee. But it says, did he die young too? Yes, he did. In fact, let me look that up real quick. How old was Alexander when he died?
According to Britannica, died at age 33.
Okay, so I was close. I think I said 32. I wanted to say 33, but I wasn't sure because I'm like, Christ died at 33, and I didn't want to say 33 because Christ died at 33 and just be using the same, but I guess did. So
Same source says most popular theories are contracting malaria, typhoid fever, or was poisoned.
I actually heard something else, but look up Alexander dying of syphilis.
Yeah, that's what I thought also.
I heard it was syphilis. That's what I heard.
Same.
And also, I know that a lot of people say that Christ died at 33. I don't know. I don't know if I 100% accept that, because I've learned that even some of the time frames of what they say the Bible is exactly on isn't entirely correct either. So it's the possibility that Christ could have been as old as into like his mid 40s to late 40s when he died. But I'm not about to argue anybody on that point at this moment, because I don't have 100% of surety. But it's anywhere from 33 to late 40s as the numbers which I would go with. Sorry. Um,
Now, some sites are saying he died of acute pancreatic necrosis, gallstones, cholelithiasis. I butchered the hell out of that. This condition is believed to have been caused by cholelithiasis or gallstones.
Here, I want to show another thing. Remember, we talked about how Alexander taking over Greece and being known as the Greeks. Well, let's go to, where's that at? Minoans. Guys, see this beautiful artwork here? This page is sending you to Haaretz. Why are you sending me to Haaretz? Okay.
I'll be right back. And now I need some coffee.
Oh, wow. Here you guys. You guys see that?
You heard, Marcus?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Right.
Let me see if it's... it didn't take you guys over there. Let me stop it and share the larger one so you guys can see. That boy needs some WD-40 on that door. You guys see this? See the lively, beautiful colors. You see the columns all through there. That eventually became a staple point throughout Greece to have these columns, which you notice that this came from the Minoans. This did not come from the so-called Greeks, because they weren't called the Greeks until Alexander came in there. And the people who were there before him obviously spoke a different language. They had a kingdom, and he was able to conquer and take over this kingdom also. So en route to taking over all of these other places, he had to take over Greece first. Let's see. And there was another one that I wanted to show you. When they talk about Italy often, it would be the Etruscans. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. I had to grab my coffee. It wasn't ready, as you guys heard the microwave going off. Let's pull up the Etruscans now. Now, if that name sounds interesting or familiar, Etruscans go back to Tuscany. So, the place in central Italy gets the name Tuscany, comes from the original people in that land called the Etruscans. Yes, they love those pillars and columns, and they completely hijacked that. And eventually, when they went back to build up the old waste, because Alexander literally went back to Edom and took over it. Literally, he lived in Petra for a while, and that's why you have one part of Petra which is kind of old school and a little more primitive, and then you have another part of it which is a little bit more refined, a little bit more trying to figure out which word would I use. More, I guess, more decorative, more text. I guess I'll figure out the word in a minute what I'm trying to say, but you can notice the difference between one part and the other part. No. Now, these are the actual images in there. I don't know why some of them look like they're a little bit lighter than others. Some look a little bit darker. You back, Fuzz?
Yes, sir.
You need some WD-40, sir. But I don't know if you see these people here. The original people were the Etruscans. And it's starting to show in some of this artwork towards the end that they started having some, what my Native American brothers always say, pale faces amongst them. And some of the other work, well, I'm getting it mixed up with the Minoans. The Minoans actually had tattoo and ink work. Hey, Ali. Let's see. Let's see if I can drop some of these links and bring it back up. But the Etruscans actually had a lot of tattoos and ink. And they were, think about it, if they're not still in that land, then of course they had to go somewhere, because how the Bible says it is, there's no complete end to any people. So when it talks about the Israelites going into the land and then pushing out the Canaanites and the Jebusites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Hittites, and it starts going through all of these different Canaanite lands and areas that it pushed out all these different people. Those people weren't completely slaughtered and ended forever. They had to go somewhere else. And it's the same thing when the Edomites first went into Edom or Petra. You had the Nabateans. You had I can't remember the names of all the people who were over there, but there were a couple of different groups of people who were already there before the Edomites actually took over the land of Edom or Petra or Mount Seir, which Mount Seir actually means hairy. And that was a reference to Esau. So that's what I was going to find. Give me 1 second while I pull that up. Do I need that one? Oh, I do need that for a reason. So let me back this up. Let's show. Because I want you to help solve this mystery. Now, I've already showed you that in the UK area, you had Cheddar Man, and it showed that he was one of the original inhabitants there until he was either partially genocided and then absorbed into the population. And the same happened to all of these different groups of people. Some were slaughtered to a good degree, and then some were absorbed. Some were completely forced out of the land. But the Minoans have something very interesting mark on them. Let's see if I can find it. Of course, it's going to give me a bunch of crap right now. But the Minoans were known for something in particular. Let me try ancient. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah. Or maybe I need to look back to the Mycenaeans. Well, anyway, if I can find the archaeology, I can't find it in my Google search for some weird reason, which maybe about a good 3 years ago or so, I was able to find it very easily. And so just Misha, remind me to dig through all of my stuff that I have saved in my phone. I'm pretty sure I have the pictures of the Minoans. But what I'll tell you is the Minoans had tattoos all over, and the attire which they wore was kind of like grass skirts. So they wore grass skirts with tattoos all over, even tattoos on their face. And they were some of the first people to have these tattoos, which led to the ancient Greeks eventually starting to adopt that habit and getting tattoos also. So I ask yourself to think of which groups of people in the ancient days were known for having a lot of tattoos and tattoos all over their bodies as tribal markings, wearing grass skirts, and even some of the images. Sorry. And some of the images actually showcase that a lot of the women in these tribes were topless most of the time. So I know some guys might enjoy that little fun fact. All right, I'm not gonna lie. I enjoyed the fun fact. So yes, blame it on me. I'm the bad guy. But yes. So let me pull the last video that I wanted to get up of the fact of the Europeans, modern day. Actually, I'm gonna pull this one more thing up. Oh no, that's YouTube. I don't want to do that on YouTube. I mean, is that one of them? Let's see. Because I used to be able to find all this stuff much easier. Somehow some of this artwork has just gotten so hard to find for some strange reason. Let's see. Here we go. This is an Etruscan. Yes, here's another image of an Etruscan. Another one, Black Etruscan. So showing you that they were melanated type people. And these are the people who were in Italy, in that whole Italian area. So I've already showed you Greece. I showed you Italy. Hold on. What else do I have to show? Close this out. Oh, if we're showing all of these different people in so-called Europe, that these people were here before Proto-Indo-Europeans, and they only got there about 5,000 years ago, then that has to make you think that maybe even some of the stuff like Stonehenge were not created by Indo-Europeans.
Yes, Misha, join the caffeinated club.
And let's see if I can find a little bit of artifacts to go with what I'm trying to show you all. Because I'm trying to remember, there's actually a book on Amazon which you can look up by Ibram Ali, and it's titled "The Black Celts," letting you know that the original Celtic people were also melanated. So most of Europe were melanated. I don't know if most people know that. Let's see as much. What is my screen showing now? Yeah, I got to drop that down to show you the next part. Drop this down and share the next part. Oh, I didn't realize I had a ability to do that. I need to do that one of these days. I just saw the slides thing. It's probably what those smart people like Ali use. See this? Ancient stuff etched in. Now it's gonna, of course, mix it in with a bunch of bull crap. Celtic ancient Britons. All right, yeah, let's close that out. And then, oh, that's the other one that I would like to bring up. One last exhibit I wanted to bring up, because we talked about the area of which the Indo-Europeans came into Europe. First place they came into, do you remember, Fuzz?
One more time?
Which area the Indo-Europeans came into first when they got into Europe? If you don't remember, let's see if Misha remembers. You remember?
Thinking Misha's probably gonna beat me to it, but
I'm wondering if they still have this one book. This one book. Let me go to the shopping first. I remember I was like, man, I would like to get that book. That book's pretty cool. Turned out the book was like $5,000. Now I was like, why would they make this book $5,000 when all of these other books were much, much cheaper? Wow, they don't even have it in the list anymore for the first page. It's probably buried. Let's see. Let's check the second page real quick. Still trying to remember? I can't see the chat right now, so let me know if anybody any guesses.
Misha don't know.
Misha don't know. Russia, Ukraine, Eurasian steppes. Remember that?
It's funny. I was going to Google and search. It's like, where are the Caucasus Mountains?
Yeah, it's right there, bordering Russia. Done. This is from the 15th century, which I'm about to show you here.
This would be in St. Petersburg.
Same. Well, possibly. I'm not. Oh, you're talking about where these icons would actually be?
Yeah.
Yes, it would be in St. Petersburg, Russia, where the major church is at, where Putin actually goes, and where all the world leaders there go. Now, somebody please explain to me why in the 15th century were they painting pictures that look like this? Goodness gracious. I got to learn how to use this thing better. Let me go back. That's not the one, but here it is. 14th to 15th century. Come on, open up. Of course, it only wants to show me the cover. It didn't used to do that. It used to show more than just thin cover. This is one of the images from the inside of it. Oh, send me off to another page. Okay. Never mind. It does not want to let me go in there. Any of them. Okay, basically what I'm trying to show you all is you have a lot of oh, wait a minute. I know what to do. Fine. You don't want to play right? You want to keep playing these silly games with me? Fine. I know where to find it. Brother from a group called IUIC was an art student. And he happened to travel over there and purchased some of these books. Because years back, when they weren't nearly as popular, they were pretty cheap. As more and more Hebrew Israelites started looking up these books, then you started having an issue. All right, so let's share the screen. Oh, yeah, I remember seeing something about black icons inside the Russian churches. Yes. Yeah, but they have the white ones in the front. You have to go back into the back corners, and then you start seeing, wait a minute, what is this? All right, so let's share.
Icons dating back to the 14th century brought together from private collections across Russia.
It's very beautiful. It gives you goose pimples. It's a remarkable exhibition.
It's an exhibition which sweeps the senses. Everything is so grey outside at the moment, and here suddenly it's a feast for the eyes.
And it's a piece that marks 100 years since religious icons started to be recognised as works of art. Before then, they were mainly viewed as religious objects, often left blackened over the centuries by the passage of time and added layers of paint.
И научились снимать эти поздние записи.
When we learned how to remove the dark layers, we discovered underneath an
Насколько шпаловый
overwhelming
мотив,
beauty.
который
To
был в
such
Москве в
extent that
начале
it shocked Andre
20
Matisse,
века,
who was in
видав
Moscow at the
иконы,
time.
был
He
потрясен,
said, "It's
поражен,
here
он
that
сказал
artists should
учителям,
come to learn to
вот
paint,
куда надо
not to
ездить
Italy."
художникам, учиться живописи, а не в Италию совсем.
They need to show
Today,
that
only a
other one
small
that was in
number
the
of
back
these
corner.
masterpieces remain. Most were destroyed during the Soviet era.
То есть это спасено.
These
Если бы
icons
музеи
are
не
the
занимались
survivors.
этим,
If
эти
museums
иконы не
hadn't
было бы
saved
сейчас.
them, they wouldn't exist
Предположим,
today.
50
There are
тысяч.
50,000 icons in
Музеев
Russian
музеев.
museums. Before,
А
there
было
were millions.
миллионы.
But now the future of this part of Russian heritage is up for debate. Are the icons best held by museums, or should they be returned to the country's churches?
See that hair? You're gonna tell me that dude? Oh, that was a white afro. That's what it was. Why he just had a white afro. White guy with that. Yeah, that's what we're going with here. Wow. Let's see if I can find that one that they had in the classroom. Because he actually passed it around showing in the books, and you can see how the hands and fingertips were changed, and you can see how oh well, I can't find it here. Oh, wait a minute, was that? All right, never mind. I'll stop sharing. I'll stop sharing. But I brought up those different things to show you guys. Oh, that's something I could show you. One more thing I can bring up. Are you familiar with coats of arms?
You mean like insignias or emblems belonging to different monarchs or rulers?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Which people would normally have those?
Kings.
Kings, right? So let's share this real quick. Share. And of Moorish coat of arms.
Oof.
Buka. Let's see. You seeing all these different images? Seeing the different names with them?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, when the Moors ruled parts of Europe, these were coats of arms they had. And there are books to go into to be able to share this. There's another one. Many of these different coats of arms. The crown on his head. So that was, I don't know if that one's real or not, but there were many. Oh, here's another one. See that one? So yeah, just wanted to show a little bit of that, letting you know that if you dig and do the research, you can find all of these things showing that there was a time period when the Moors actually ruled. But what happened with the Renaissance was the rebirth of Europeans coming in and taking over and pushing out the so-called invaders, leading to a lot of that language which we dealt with that Buffalo shooter and these manifestos, which I plan on definitely getting into tomorrow. Um, and Allie will be joining on the show tomorrow. Hopefully, she still can. Um, we're going to talk about that. Got a couple other things I want to talk about too, especially with this Roe versus Wade thing going on. She done some. Sorry, it's a loud night tonight. But what was it? I'm trying to remember what you call it, or maybe not what you called it, but what it was called. About the wounds. It was really very creepy, almost some like sci-fi stuff that she brought out about these wombs that they're trying to do. So I definitely want to talk about that too. Yes, artificial wombs. Yes, artificial wombs. Um, at what time? I guess I'll have to confirm with Ali what time is good for her. I will have a gentleman from another channel coming on. I ran across this video and he had such a very nuanced and like interesting take, and he comes from that gamer world, and so I'm going to have him on. Let's see what I think. think I'll have maybe at least an hour to an hour and a half with him. So we're gonna go into that, and so it'll be up to Allie. If Allie wants to hop in for that first part and ask him questions also, or and throw in her input, or she just wants to come in after he's done. So I'll leave that up to her. Chris will be out tomorrow. Well, more than likely, I told Chris, go ahead and just take the time off. He has Chris is actually moving. But he is moving. So I want him to get settled into his place and get comfortable and all that, and then we can always catch back up with him next week. But see, Ali probably won't make it until later half because still moving on. No problem. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that I wanted to bring up and establish more and more who Esau is for the most part. Like I said, we still hold to the wheats and the tares. We still hold to the sheep and the goats, and that Israel will be diverse and come out of every nation. And what that means is not only will there be Israelites who we idealize and who we recognize for the most part would have a strong possibility of being Israelite, the remnants, those ones who aren't going to look like Israelites. So Misha says, I'm moving too. Big battle with my landlord. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Hope it all gets better. I'll make sure to say a prayer for you. But yeah, that's some of the things that I wanted to go into. Oh, go back into Genesis 27. Yeah, Genesis 27. The blessing.
Isaac's blessing. Yeah.
I want you to go into what Esau said when he found out Jacob had already got the blessing. What is that? 27 and was it about like 22? I think to start at. I don't know. Double check with me. Again, I didn't grab my Bible before I came in here, so I guess I'll have to pull it up on my phone.
No, this would be. Let me see. 27 and 41.
41. Let's see. Yes, that's what I want. Because we talked about this shooter, and we talked about we established who Esau is. We established the hatred. Well, we didn't completely establish hatred. We talked about it a little bit. So I wanted to bring up this verse also because the same mentality that Esau would have, this would be passed throughout his generations into his nation as a whole. So these tendencies of being a man of the field, that's going to attach on. These things of being that he's going to live by the sword. Everything he's going to get is going to be by the sword. Those tendencies are going to pass on. Greed, those tendencies are going to pass on. And also the hatred. That's what I want to key in on, the hatred that Esau would pass down through into his descendants.
Oh, and I got a precept loaded up for that too. For after this one. This is Genesis 27 and verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
And so he's like already, his father's not even dead yet. His mindset is like, as soon as my father die, I'm going to kill his ass. And so it shows that mentality, that hatred that is in there. It's like, I'm not going to do it while my father's still here. But also, when we talk about history, repeating and rhyming, this goes back to Cain and Abel. Cain killed Abel out of hatred and anger. And it's the same way which Cain killed Abel is the same way which Esau wants to kill Jacob. Because, I mean, we'll go into it one of these days about regeneration, but I stand to the belief that Esau is the reincarnate or regeneration of Cain. And also Jacob reincarnates into, or is the reincarnate of Cain, of Abel, who was killed. But though he came through Seth's line.
And the precept to that,
sure.
Here's book of Exodus, chapter 17, and I'll start at 15. And Moses built an altar and called the name of it Yahweh Nisi. For he said, because the Lord hath sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation.
Yeah, and so even though, the Lord is still going to have war with Amalek, regardless. So he's like, I still got a beef with you. And sorry for interrupting. It explains. Oh, on the head. Oh, was there more?
Yeah. No, that was it.
Oh, okay. Pull up because I've even heard some people say plenty of times, like, man, this society feels like we're still in slavery. I've heard people talk about the 13th Amendment, how they still can enslave you. And if you think about who holds up most of the prison populations, who's filling most of these prisons, Black and brown people. Believe it or not, this is a fact which a lot of people don't know. Native Americans have a higher imprisonment rate per capita than so-called Blacks and Latinos. And so it's interesting that the people who are incarcerated at the highest rates are the people which we recognize as the Israelites, because it does say that they'll be snared in holes in prison houses. That's one of the curses. So continue.
Did you want me to get Deuteronomy 28 and 48? Since you were talking about prison.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. I had to try to remember which one that was.
This is Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Yeah, but the yoke of iron on their neck is actually tying back to slavery, not quite. I'm trying to remember. I think it's in Isaiah where it talks about snared in prison houses. But the gospel itself, Isaiah 61, goes into here actually, because this part, for those who are following the case, how did he plead? That's I read Ali's comment. That's why I wanted to bring. Oh, that's what I was going to get. Oh, what were you pulling up? Oh, that's right. I told you to get
Isaiah. Isaiah what and what?
Isaiah 61. Just go
61. This is Book of Isaiah, chapter 61, and verse 1.
Yep.
The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prisons to them that are bound.
The opening of the prisons to those who are bound. Yeah. So, but Ali brought up something, neighborhoods. I wanted to read this real quick. In fact, I'll put it on the screen. Now, most people are going to know this term, and most people are going to automatically know this term attached to a certain group of people. But I pose you a question after reading this. I pose you a question. Now, this is from the Encyclopedia Britannica. The word I am looking up is ghetto. Segregated area, right? We all know, like this picture over here, Warsaw Ghetto. The Jewish people were forced into ghettos. Okay. Ghetto, formerly a street or quarter or city set apart as legally enforced residence area for Jews. Why in the world, if it's for Jews and black people are not supposed to be considered Jews, why is where black people live called the ghetto? Can anybody answer that question for me? Why wouldn't people correct them and say, no, you can't call that the ghetto because ghetto that's where Jews live. I don't know. I just found it was an interesting question to bring up. Why are black people in America, their neighborhoods called the same thing, which Jewish people during the Holocaust were living in, comparing their neighborhoods to the same condition? Now, if you talk to most Jewish people, they're going to tell you about that. That's literally like one of the most horrible things that a Jewish person even thinks about. The time, anything having to do with connection to the Holocaust. So why would you even allow anybody else to appropriate that name? Because that's a connection to the Jews. I just find it very funny. Or maybe certain people decided to call it that, knowing what it was, being tongue-in-cheek. Almost being a little smartass with it, like, just throw this in your face and you won't even catch it. I mean, I remember, anybody ever saw Blazing Saddles? Anybody familiar with Blazing Saddles at all? That was appropriate, and then some people of that mentality have a hand in designing the places they now call ghettos. Exactly. Now, I want to bring up this clip. Blazing Saddles. Anybody familiar with Mel Brooks, by the way? Guess I'm sounding pretty old tonight, man. If nobody knows this. Let's just tell you, this movie could not have been made today. This movie could not have been made at all. It is inflammatory in so many ways. Extremely inflammatory. I got a crazy sense of humor, so I find it funny. Misha got to know about this. But if not, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this. And YouTube, this is for fair use. This is just trying to show people something. Because here's something. Hollywood slips these little things in the movies all the time.
you tell me your story. What's a dazzling urbanite like you doing in a rustic setting like...
Actually, let me back up and get the other one.
Schwarzes. No, seid nicht mehr Sugar. Laws im Gang! Kappa walk. It's all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wie gesehen. Take off. Hast du gesehen in deinem Leben? They darker than us. Woof.
Yes. Now, anybody catch what happened there? The relevance of why I showed that clip? Yeah, they definitely couldn't make that today. But the whole point of why I showed that is, for those who don't know, Mel Brooks is Jewish, if he's still alive. Yes, the whole Yiddish thing. He's the one who made the movie. Now, he's posing as a Native American, talking to black people in Yiddish, or let's phrase it a different way. He's posing as a Native American, speaking a form of Hebrew to black people, assuming they would understand it. Y'all get what he's doing right there in front of everybody's face? Yes. That's the cutesy clever shit they do. They throw it right in your face and say, are you even gonna catch this? Yes, they do this shit all the time. I'm trying to think of what's in. I got a lot of shit saved in here. I'm trying to think of another one. Let's see.
Schwarzes.
Let's see, back it up. Let's see, what's the other one? Yeah, here it is. This is from A&E. Check this clip out. This is the remake of Roots.
How on earth did you manage that?
I knew you were scared.
Toby's got a gift for horses.
Real special touch, miss.
Get back in the field.
Steady on, Spaulding. What do you think of Toby's special touch with the horse? It was astonishing, no?
It's just a walk, sir. Horse is probably smarter than an African.
God, man. The Semites brought horses to Africa.
Did you hear that? How is it? In this clip from Roots 2016 Part 2, the overseer says horses are probably smarter than Africans. Then the slave owner makes reference to the Semites that brought the horses to Africa when they defeated the Egyptian Hamites. In fact, let's back that up and let's listen to what he said again.
Steady on, Spaulding. What do you think of Toby's special touch with the horse? It was astonishing, no?
It's just a walk, sir. Horse is probably smarter than an African.
God, man. The Semites brought horses to Africa.
The Semites brought horses to Africa. So who are the Semites? What part of Africa did these Semites bring the horse to? Let's let it play a little longer. Let's see what else is here. Anything else at this clip? drop this down. But that's the point which I wanted to show you. Yep, he did say that. LOL. Yeah, and here's the thing. There's a bunch of movies which show little subtle remarks like that. What's the other one? This is how I know Hollywood knows this stuff too. Hollywood definitely knows it. Here's one other one. What's the one I want to show you guys? This actually was one of my favorite movies as a kid because it was so brutal. It jarred me into reality, seeing, historically how bad some of this stuff was. Now, granted, it's still sanitized compared to the real reality of things, and it hides a lot of stuff. So you can still romanticize Christopher Columbus. But let's see. Let's see which scene do I want. I used to have this clip. I used to have this clip somewhere else so I can get to it quick. Oh, there it is. Now, I need you to pull up which verse is that I want you to pull. Oh yeah, I guess I had that one verse here. I'll read this real quick. Remember we were talking about the prison houses, right? Zechariah, chapter 11, 5 through 7. Because we're talking about the mass shooter, right? And I asked, what did he plead? Did he plead guilty or did he plead innocent? Because if you read his manifesto, he said he's going to plead guilty. But he said technically he doesn't feel like he would be guilty. Actually, that's something. That's when he was talking about if he believed it was terrorism. He's like, by the definition, it is, but technically, I don't feel it is. Blah, 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 bullshit. But anyway, let me know when you have it.
Zechariah,
chapter 11. 5 verse
Zechariah 11, 5 through 7?
Yes.
Right. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 11, 5 through 7. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. For I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land, saith the Lord. But lo, I will deliver the men every one into his neighbor's hand, and into the hand of his king, and they shall smite the land, and out of their hand I will not deliver them. And I will feed the flock of slaughter, even you, O poor of the flock. And I took unto me 2 staffs, the one I called beauty, and the other I called bands, and I fed the flock.
You guys get the point of that verse? Talking about your possessors. Who are the possessors? The people who control and run the society. So that would be predominantly white people, correct? Those would be our possessors. Those are the people who were sold into into their ancestors. Those are the ones who we still possess their same last names and we're speaking their languages. I know some people, they'll be like, well, English isn't my first language. Spanish is, or French is. All of those are oppressor languages. If you're speaking an Indo-European language at all, as a first language, then you've been conquered and oppressed. And how 20% of the world's population has 46% of the world speaking their languages should tell you something. I mean, do people realize that there's literally a town in Africa that people speak Spanish? They've been out of Africa God knows how long, but that town still speaks Spanish. Because they completely wrecked and destroyed their history. So they could not know anything but what the slave master taught them. Let's see, what was it that I was going to pull up? I'm trying to remember. Forgetting. Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's just go ahead and play this clip. Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. I want you to play this or read this. I need you to get 2nd Esdras 13 and jump to 40. Oh yeah, it's definitely in plain sight. And this is how they've hid it. They're hiding most of this stuff right in front of everybody. And that's the best way to do things.
This is Book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13 and verse 40.
Hold on a second. Wait. Let me.
You gotta pull up a map?
No.
Oh.
I want everybody to hear this verse.
Oh.
Right, what he's speaking about.
Why do you wish to sail west? To open a new route to Asia. Asia is the richest kingdom, the land of spices and gold. At the moment, there are only two ways of reaching it. By sea, sailing around the African continent, the journey takes a year, or by land. But the Turks have closed this route to all Christians. There is a third way. By sailing west across the ocean sea. The distance is unknown. It's said to be infinite. Superstition. I believe the Indies are no more than 750 leagues west of the Canary Islands. And to be so certain, the calculations of Toscanelli, Marandotti, Esdras is a Jew.
Did you hear that? Esdras is a Jew. I did not know this was in this movie all these years. Now, Buzz, can you read this?
This is the Book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13 and verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes, which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, who Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, and go forth into a further country, where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood, till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called Arsareth.
Arzareth, the land of Arzareth, where no man has ever dwelt before, which they try to go to keep their laws, statutes, and commandments. Do I need to pull that back up again with the fringes? Remember, numbers. Pull up numbers again. Actually, keep a button in that one. Hold that, and then bring up numbers too.
All right. Second. This is Book of Numbers, chapter 15.
35.
And verse 38.
38, okay. Sorry, 38.
Speak unto the children of Israel and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders a riband of blue. And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it, and remember all the commandments of the Lord, and do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a-whoring, that ye may remember and do all my commandments, and be holy unto your God.
Mm-hmm. So let's play the rest of this. Why did I do that? Pull that back up. So why would Hollywood put this in this movie? Let's see. I saw this movie in the 90s. We'll say that. Probably around maybe 90, around 90, 93, 94. So that means this movie has been out now for quite some time. Let's continue.
2 minutes, and already you're a dead man. For telling the truth? Yes. We are burning people for less. The men you're about to confront have no emotion.
They're burning people for less. So they're saying literally that they would burn people for, oh, you guys don't want to see my music. I'm into. I was listening to some French music earlier today. And then a little bit of boxing here too. So I'm always listening to a bunch of different stuff. Let me get back over there and stop sharing screen. But yeah, it's all chalked through all of these different movies. Now ask yourself. Actually, you don't even have to ask yourself. I'm going to show you. I'll pull back up one of my older videos. Actually, let me just pull the video up first. And I'll go to the part which I want to find.
You're going to find Arsareth?
No.
Oh, I figured you would.
Well, I mean, I think it should be explanatory. Pretty clear. I mean, at that point in time, I mean, there's even books that call America the fourth part of the earth. You know, that was the first place, and then in the Bible, it references the fourth part of the earth. I mean, so in secular history, it's pretty easy to tie in what they're saying here biblically. But of course, you have those people who haven't studied into this stuff, and they're just going to take one understanding. I wanted to go into this. Let's see. Let's start here. That's a good spot to start. Just going to show a couple minutes of one of my older videos. And then let you guys see some of this stuff. And And because I want a reminder of this video is called Jewish Celebrities. This part is part of the music industry still. Let me speed it up. Get past the music industry. I guess it's almost done with the music industry. But I want us to focus on the movie industry.
You might want to lower the volume just a bit.
Oh, okay. I lowered my own volume. Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was almost done with the music. Sorry. There we go. Movies, film. Let's stop right there. Warner Brothers. Let's continue. MGM. Weinstein's. Robert Shea, formerly of New Line Cinema. Jerry Bruckheimer. Let's see if I can pause that. Back that up just a little bit. A little bit of a little sprinkle of some famous directors and producers there. Now, keep in mind, and this is why it gets kind of crazy with some of this stuff, because in everything out there, there's a degree of truth, and then there's a great degree of twist in it. So I first want to put this disclaimer out there, because in the manifesto from the shooter, we're not going to give him credit of even saying his name, but the shooter, he took some things which are true in the world and twisted these things which are true to use this as an excuse to go and attack people. I do not advocate to attack anybody, but I also don't feel like we should shy away from information if it's true. And so some people will take this information, put a spotlight on these people, and feel like they need to be targets to go after. I do not feel that way. In fact, for instance, like J.J. Abrams, there's so much stuff with J.J. Abrams which is created that I've definitely loved. Stanley Kubrick, Sam Raimi, Bryan Singer. Ali says that's how they poison the well. Use guys like that to make people avoid the topic entirely. Exactly. That's when they start throwing out that term anti. But, if you focus on this and you start looking at it, then you have to ask the question. And then it puts, if you don't do anything, here's the thing, if you don't do anything violent, it puts a lot of these people in an awkward situation to have to admit that there's a certain level of cronyism. There's a certain level of only taking care of, their own, in a sense. And so if you looked at it like this, let's flip it. And if it was a minority group where they were in smaller numbers and they stood out from the rest of the white population in general. So let's say you're in a country where there's only, let's say if you found out all of a sudden in America, every single black person who was in Hollywood were all Nigerians. Or let's say that even let's take a smaller place. Let's say they're all Jamaicans. Wouldn't you start asking some questions like, how the hell are all the black people in power are all Jamaicans? Somebody needs to explain this. How are all these damn Jamaicans and no other black people are getting up there, but only Jamaicans? And then you have to think, well, if it was a much higher population than 2%, would it be any other groups of people this kind of level of power into these positions and influence? And it's not even it's like this. If you had a whole family of people, the level of crony, like imagine if Joe Biden had a family of like 300, damn near everybody in the government would be a Biden. But that's what happens when you get to the top. People on the top, hey, I know this family, I only hang out in this community of my people, so what do? I help promote more people in my community and only care about my community. And that's how it gets to this level of cronyism. They pledge to that order, so you know how it is. They protect their own and pretend to champion the rights of everyone else. That's the reason why you start finding out that most of the black universities are owned by a certain group of people and started by a certain group of people for the most part. That's when you start finding out that, wait a minute, ACLU, NAACP, they're all funded by the same people. And then after they get those organizations up and running, then they start ADL, JDL, Southern Poverty Law Center. And then once they've gotten those up and running, all the eggs and focus and emphasis and power are put between those groups, while the NAACP, their power wanes after it gets to just a certain level of helping them out. But let's come back in. There's a little bit more on this show. Michael Bay, Ron Howard. Rest in peace, Stan Lee. Robert Zemeckis. Sorry, it's a little bit behind. Bad editing after a long night. Kevin Foggy. Tom Rothman. George Lucas. Oliver Stone. Ivan Reitman. Remember Ghostbusters, everybody? J.J. Abrams. I forgot Rick Moranis, too, I believe. Jude Apatow. Hoffman. What is it? There's Mel Brooks, who we were talking about there. Bette Midler. And Michael Douglas and family, the Douglases. Seinfeld. Joan Rivers, Lena Dunham. Actually, you see a lot of different names here. Sam Mendes, Sarah Silverman, Albert Brooks, Paul Rudd, Jake Gyllenhaal, Roman Polanski, John Favreau. Jerry Stiller, Henry Winkler, Winona Ryder, Jerry Lewis, David Schwimmer, Rashida Jones, Lisa Kudrow, Sean Penn. And I was like, really? Roseanne? I was like, that gotta be wrong. Some of these, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping that maybe I got some stuff wrong in there, but I was like, That's what it's showing when I look up the results of what it says. But you can only trust Google and Wikipedia so far. But definitely people like Gail Godot, we definitely know. Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, Ben Stiller, Seth Rogen, Shia LaBeouf, Jack Black, Larry David, Andrew Garfield, Adrian Brody, Maggie Gyllenhaal, James Caan, Leonard Nimoy. In fact, Leonard Nimoy, the whole live long and prosperous symbol, Star Trek, it actually comes from Judaism. A lot of people don't know that. They're all with that Hollywood magic Kabbalah. So I'm still learning about, but can imagine there's another stolen aspect, and that's what makes them all as well. Harrison Ford, I was like, are you serious? Really? But that's what came up. Let's see, pop back over. A little bit more. Dustin Hoffman, Adam Sandler, Kirk Douglas, Frank Oz, Gary Shandling, Groucho Marx, Mila Kunis, Jake Gyllenhaal, Joaquin Phoenix, Billy Crystal, Daniel Day-Lewis, Gwyneth Paltrow, Liev Schreiber, Goldie Hawn, Jeff Goldblum, Jennifer Connelly. I mean, I was like, are you serious? But yeah, this starts getting into it gets crazy. Once you go through this whole video, it was a little overwhelming. So my bad, I typed yeah, I'm careful. That's how you know that a group of people have a lot of power. You know who you can't criticize. I mean, you guys saw what happened to Nick Cannon when he slipped up and, was a little bit too rough with his wording. That man's career has still not recovered. So, yeah, that's what I have there on that topic. I mean, Fuzz, what was that? Deuteronomy 28 and is it 40? Wait, I think is it 48 that I want? Will be a sign?
No. It's not that one. I know what you're talking about though. But
is it 45 maybe?
Oh, 46.
46.
This is Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse 45 should be included in there.
Okay,
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
Forever. So that means that all of these people, who according to the Bible would be the chosen people, if they are receiving these curses, then, I mean, if they're not following the Torah, they're not following the Bible, all of them should be under curses. They shouldn't be wealthy. They shouldn't be lending to anybody. And it's not on an individual level. It's on looking at a group of people as a whole. For instance, like I bring up all the time, most of the prophets were in captivity while they were prophesying. Were some of them doing better on the top? It's kind of like a comparison to a LeBron James. Is LeBron make good money? Is he doing well? Yeah. But can LeBron James say whatever the hell he wants to about the owner of the Lakers or trash the head of the NBA? No, he can't. He knows there's only limits to how far he can say what he wants to say. But can those owners get away with saying whatever the hell they want to say? Exactly, because they are not falling up under these curses. So that's the gist of it. I know it's super late over there for old Fuzzy Wuzzy Bear.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna go ahead and close out. Unless you had anything else you'd like to go into, sir.
Nope. I'm ready to knock out.
I guess actually go back into Isaiah 61, because this is what I want people to understand, this for the Israelites, and for the nations which have oppressed them and harmed them. And we pretty much know who these, we can look at who is oppressed too. Let's go ahead and read Isaiah 61. And because it's going to give salvation, it's going to give the definition of what the gospel is, what salvation is, and it's going to give judgment to enemy nations. So Esau would be a part of this judgment. Continue.
61 and 1?
Yeah, go ahead and just start from 1.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 61 and 1. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek.
Good tidings, to everybody who don't know, good tidings is the gospel. That's what gospel means, good tidings, good news. Continue.
He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord, and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified.
Keep going.
And they shall build the old wastes, they shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities, the desolations of many generations.
I'll hold that.
Mm.
It talks about this desolation of many generations. I know everybody can see Israel. There's people living there now. It has a decent, set of, like, it's built up to a degree. But what this is talking about is, for one, how it talks about the battle of Armageddon or Armageddon, and the the battle that's going to happen in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. And it talks about that. Not only the Old West is going to be destroyed, but also this area. The Bible predicts about that happening in a World War III type scenario. That's going to be one of the things that's going to happen. And if you pay attention to some of the stuff that's been going on recently, I'm just saying right now, Israel is literally preparing for ground invasion into Iran. Then you have the China and Taiwan thing. You have Russia, Ukraine. You have a bunch of different things going on all over the place, all at the same time.
Very recently, Russia is starting to fire missiles at Israel.
So Russia's starting to fire at Israel. All of these things need to be paid attention to, because the U.S. is going to back Israel. They've already said that they're going to work in this mock simulation as far as refueling the planes, in air refueling. Well, the way it's being reported, it's like, hey, U.S. and Israel, that's going to be them against Iran. Well, it's not going to work that way, because Russia is going to jump up and they're going to help back Iran. So it's like, okay, well, you're going to bring your big brother in. I'll bring in my big brother then. That's how it's going to work. It's not going to be some 2-on-1 unfair fight. And that's going to help balance things out. And I wouldn't be surprised if China is along with that, and North Korea. And then let's not forget BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and South Africa. Which South Africa, I believe, towards the end will kind of fall out of it, and it'll just be Brazil, Russia, India, and China. But so when this area is completely destroyed, it's going to have to all be rebuilt up, and that's talking about all of the area, which is going to become Israel, because all the area that's promised to the Israelites in the end time, neither Israel or Palestine, even if they got all that whole area, that's not all the land it's talking about. It's going to talk about a much larger space, so it will be rebuilding some desolate places. So continue.
And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks.
And who are the strangers going to be, Fuzz?
It actually gives the answer in the next verse.
All right.
And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of the alien shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. But ye shall be named the priests of the Lord. Men shall call you the ministers of our God. Ye shall eat the riches of the Gentiles, and in their glory shall ye boast yourselves.
Now, that's good. Thank you, sir. Another verse I'll add a precept onto that. Revelations, know which one I want? Revelation, was it 13?
Yep, 13 and 10.
Or start at 9.
Yeah. Book of Revelations, chapter 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
I forgot. There's one. I know I keep saying, oh, well, this last one, but got one other. What is it? I'm drawing a blank on it right now.
Don't do this to me.
No, I'll find it real quick. Once I see it, I'll know. Man, I guess I can't remember it right now. Talking about man, why come I'm drawing a blank on this? Hold on. Not that. Is it numbers? I think it's numbers. Is it numbers? Numbers 14 and 18.
This is the book of Numbers, chapter 14 and verse 18. The Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation.
And so what that's basically saying is, even though you feel like, well, that wasn't me, the sins of your forefathers, you got to pay for them. The reason why the Israelites are in captivity now, and the reason why they're on the bottom of society now, is because our forefathers sinned. our forefathers led to the downtrodden status that we're in, just like the colonizers who came over here led to people to have white privilege. And if you got your goods ill-gotten, the way the Lord works is he likens his judgment to like a ring. What goes around comes back around.
Misha's asking for one of my favorite verses to come up.
Oh, yeah, I know that's your favorite verse, but let's
one of them. It's not my top favorite. Just one of them.
You know what? Don't do them both. Actually, do Revelations 3 and 9.
Yeah.
Actually, 3 and 9 and 10.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 3 and verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the earth, to try them that dwell upon the earth.
It's funny. I think I actually wanted 2 and 9, but whatever. The Spirit decided which verse was going to come out. But whatever. I was trying to take the sting out of it a little bit, but say it is what it is. Can't. I didn't write the Bible. I just read it and follow what the Father tries to tell me and put on my spirit. So, with that, I will close out on that note. Hopefully, this was edifying and educational, and hopefully that this information helps somebody and gets to the people who need to hear this. If he who has the ear, let him hear. And also, if the word hearkens to your spirit, then it's hearkening to your spirit for a reason. The Lord uses everybody for whatever purpose he decides. Even though he says he's the God of Israel, he created it all. So when the Israelites were wicked, he called for Titus Vespasian to go in there and completely destroy it, not leave one stone on top of another. That's how you know that Wailing Wall is not the real Wailing Wall. And that's nonsense also. Going back into that they do lie part. But we'll leave that alone for now. I mean, because here's the thing. Either those people are telling the truth and the Bible is a lie, or the Bible's telling the truth and those people are lying. It can only be one or the other. Yes, Misha says, thank you, brothers. Much love, everyone. All praises to the Most High. Yes, got to put that on the screen. All praise to the Most High. Call Allah Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Hamashiach. That they do, exactly. So, yeah, we're going to close it out tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and thank you, everybody who will tune in later on. And if you guys have any questions, comments, please put them in there. I'll try to answer what I can. And I guess I'll finish off with a Kwam Yasharala. Shalom.